What you're about to hear in this video is absolutely insane. Some of the most devout atheists in the world had some shocking words right before their death. But before we reveal all of that, make sure that you take a second to subscribe so we can bring the message of God to the world. Now let's get to it.
There is no big brother in the sky. It is a horrible idea.
The clip you just saw was of Christopher Hitchens, a devoted atheist before death. But something strange happened right before he died. Given that he was such a fearless and well-spoken atheist, his final words have always generated curiosity. On April 20th, 2012, Andrew Sullivan gave a heartfelt speech at his funeral ceremony in New York City titled "The Hitch Has Landed." In it, he described Hitchens' final words. Hitchens requested a pen and paper and tried to write on it as he lay dying. When he was done, Sullivan picked it up and looked at it, realizing that it was an unreadable scribble. What's the use? Hitchens forced himself to say the two barely audible words, capitalism and downfall, before he exhaled his final breath. Former England Chancellor Sir Thomas Scott was a non-believer. He became quite sick and realized that he was going to die, which made him panic. Seeking solace from the Roman priests, he admitted, "Until this moment I thought there was neither a God nor a hell. Now I know and feel that there are both, and I am doomed to perdition by the just judgment of the Almighty." The next name you may be familiar with is Voltaire, the well-known French author, philosopher and vocal opponent of Christianity. Voltaire was well known for making fun of religion during his lifetime. But his tone changed radically as he lay dying. He claimed that he had inhaled nothing but smoke and had become intoxicated by the incense that clouded his thoughts. He also mourned the fact that he felt abandoned by both God and people. He begged his doctor for 6 more months of life in desperation, offering him half of his riches. In response to the doctor's statement that it was not possible, he said, "Then I shall die and go to hell. For all the money in Europe, I wouldn't want to see another unbeliever die." His nurse subsequently remarked. All night long, he begged for forgiveness. This one truly stands out. David Hume, a well-known philosopher who's an atheist and is well known for his doubts about religion, he dared to challenge beliefs and follow the path of a non-believer. A treatise of human nature, his groundbreaking study, Hume investigated the psychological foundations of human nature in an effort to develop a naturalistic science of man. "I am in flames," he screamed in agony as he lay dying. Witnesses described his helplessness as a horrible sight, indicating that his last minutes were terrifying. Next is Sir Francis Newport, the head of an English atheist group. He informed people around him as he lay dying that he knew there was a God and that he was in his presence, so they didn't need to persuade him otherwise. He went on to say that he could already feel himself sliding toward hell, so they didn't need to convince him there wasn't one. He was more or less begging them to stop talking foolishly about how he still had hope, since he knew that he was lost for good. Worried about the fire and the agonizing pain of hell, he said it was pointless to wish to burn for 1,000 years in order to win God's favor and be with him again. He continued saying that millions and millions of years will bring me no nearer to the end of my torments than one poor hour. Oh, eternity, eternity forever and ever. Oh, the insufferable pangs of hell. The French monarch Charles IX gave the order to slaughter the French Huguenots due to the pressure of his mother. For loving Jesus, 15,000 people were killed in Paris alone, and 100,000 more died throughout France. Charles endured the guilt of his event for years. As he lay dying, covered in blood, he told his doctors, "Asleep or awake, I see the mangled forms of the Huguenots passing before me. They drop with blood. They point at their open wounds. Oh, that I had spared at least the little infants at the bosom. What blood! I don't know where I am. How will all this end? What shall I do? I'm lost forever. I know it. Oh, I have done wrong." Anton LaVey is the chief priest of a religion that worships Satan and the author of the Satanic Bible. LaVey went by several titles including Black Pope, Father of Satanism, and the evilest man in the world. The FBI was interested in learning more about him in 1980 because of a plot to assassinate Ted Kennedy. LaVey didn't hold back in the interview. calling a large portion of his fanbase fanatics, cultists, and weirdos. His well-known statement was, "There is a beast in man that needs to be exorcised, not exorcised." However, on his deathbed, his final words were far from confident. Oh my, what have I done? There's something very wrong. There is something very wrong. The next on the list was Septimius Severus, the ruler of Rome and the founder of the Severan dynasty. He became the emperor of Rome in AD 193 following a bloody campaign. He emerged from relative obscurity to establish a new dynasty. His reign as emperor was marked by bloody military campaigns in Britain and Parthia, as well as battles against intruders. It's a well-known legend that Severus instructed his sons to be harmonious, enrich the soldiers, and scorn all others before passing away. His last words were, "I've been everything, and everything is nothing. A little urn will contain all that remains of one for whom the whole world was too little." Thomas Paine was the leading atheistic writer in American colonies. He pleaded for someone to remain by his side, insisting that he couldn't bear to be left alone with his sadness. His last words were, "Oh God, what have I done to suffer so much? What will become of me hereafter? I would give worlds if I had them, that The Age of Reason had never been published. Oh Lord, help. Christ, help me. No, don't leave, stay with me. Send even a child to stay with me, for I am on the edge of hell here alone. If ever the devil had an agent, I would have been that one." Robert Greene Ingersoll, known by his moniker The Great Agnostic, was an American lawyer, author, and speaker who advocated agnosticism during the golden age of free thought. "O God, if there be a God, save my soul if I have a soul." Some say it was said this way, "O God, if there be a God, save my soul, if I have a soul, from hell, if there be a hell," was his words before dying. In his dying hours, Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor who, like Adolf Hitler, killed millions to further his greedy and power-hungry goals of conquering the world, faced introspection. On the remote South Atlantic island of St. Helena, Napoleon Bonaparte passed away. One would anticipate a clear record of the fallen emperor's last utterances given the large number of individuals gathered around him in his final days. "I die before my time, and my body will be given back to the earth. Such is the fate of him who has been called the Great Napoleon. What an abyss between my deep misery and the eternal kingdom of Christ." Due to the erratic character of Napoleon's life, there exist multiple versions of his final moments, with varying interpretations of his actual words. David Friedrich Strauss is a key figure in German theology and philosophy of the 19th century. He's well known for his investigations into the historical Jesus. His writings revolutionized the way that the New Testament, early Christianity, and ancient faiths were studied. By laying the foundation for a more critical and historical examination of Jesus, Strauss's groundbreaking work influenced theological discussions for many years to come. David Strauss, a key figure in German rationalism who devoted his life to challenging the belief in God, encountered a deep crisis as he neared the end of his life. He felt helpless in his last moments, saying, "My philosophy leaves me utterly forlorn. I feel like one caught in the merciless jaws of an automatic machine, not knowing at what time one of its great hammers may crush me." The dubious legacy of the infamous Soviet leader and Georgian revolutionary Joseph Stalin is characterized by his tremendous power and widespread fear. In a Newsweek interview, his daughter, Svetlana Stalin, revealed the terrifying circumstances of his last hours and days, as well as the ominous condition around her father's passing. She emphasized the idea that God grants an easy death only to the just, characterizing her father's passing as a difficult and terrible death. He opened his eyes suddenly at the last possible minute, giving everyone in the room a scary and piercing look. This expression, according to Svetlana, was horrible, insane, and perhaps furious, with an unsettling intensity that appeared to cling to the...
This is FTMO, and it's a trading firm that funds traders and gives you up to a $400,000 account. If you get
to the atmosphere. He raised his left hand in a way that gave the impression that he was pointing upward, cursing everyone in his path. The gesture was filled with a sense of threat, stirring feelings of unease and hopelessness. He died a few moments later, leaving a legacy that would haunt history and an unsettling silence. In his final moments, Joseph Stalin didn't utter any last words clearly. Instead, unsettling gurgling sounds escaped his lips. Thomas Hobbes was a renowned political philosopher. He's regarded as one of the pioneers of modern political philosophy. He had a strong desire to live during his last moments. I'm ready to embark on my final journey, a daring jump into the unknown. Hobbes uttered his final words while lying on his deathbed and thinking about his impending demise. Hobbes's religious views are still debatable because he is credited with holding a variety of views which span from Orthodox Christianity to atheism. Hobbes offered a cosmological defense of God's existence in the elements of law, stating that God is the first cause of all causes. Religion was seen as the soul of soulless conditions, or the opium of the people, by German philosopher Karl Marx, who founded and is credited with developing Marxism in the 19th century. He added, "The first requisite for the happiness of the people is the abolition of religion." Marx believed that the working people used religion as a means of protesting their isolation and unfavorable economic circumstances.